السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت، وعافنا فيمن عافيت، وتولنا فيمن توليت، وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت، وقنا شر ما قضيت، فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك، إنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت، تباركت ربنا وتعاليت، فلك الحمد على ما قضيت، نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك، وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
We're reading from the reasonings on page 20. In the middle of the page, a reminder. It is a rule of both eloquence and guidance that the evidence should be clearer than the thesis and known prior to it. For this reason, the apparent meanings of some Quranic verses relate to the impressions sensed by the majority of people. However, these verses are not intended to provide evidence for those impressions, as well as serving for the establishment in the minds of people of the four basic purposes of the guidance of the Quran. They contain such subtle truths that they attract the attention of researchers and truth-seeking people. The verses of the Quran, clear in themselves and clearly showing the basic truths, interpret one another. Some verses uncover the jewels of meanings contained in their siblings. Therefore, we should try to see those more important meanings that lie under their apparent literal meanings.
Now go over the text. Explain to us what we understood from each sentence, starting from the beginning. Yeah.
So in the first sentence, the author claims that
Read it aloud. So
it is a rule of both eloquence and guidance that the evidence should be clearer than the thesis and known prior to it. So in this sentence, the author suggests that as a rule, for something that is supposed to, that you are able to understand, and that something that is answering your questions should, that its evidence of what it is claiming should be somehow known. You should already know it in you. It's only articulating it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And clearer.
Now, yeah, it must be known as well, but it must be clearer. Okay.
And
the evidence must be clearer than for the proof. Whatever you want to prove,
right,
you demonstrate evidence, and evidence must be clear.
When you say clear, do you mean that it should be, like there should be...
Obvious,
yeah.
For the person who is reading. So if you want to tell me, for example, I'm a layman and I don't know anything about physics or something. If you try to tell me what is going on among the galaxies, you have to give the example to me that I can easily understand. For example, show me the solar system, right? So look, solar system is working in this way. There is an harmony, there is a balance in between all the elements or whatever, the sun and the planets revolving around it. That's just an example. So I can see that, yeah, so that you can tell me what's going on in the galaxies that I don't see. Simple.
Mhm.
If you are telling me that there will be an eternal life, a resurrection after death, and there will be an eternal life, and if you want to give me the evidence for it, the evidence must be accessible for me.
Mhm.
For example, give me what the Quran does. Give me the example of seed, how the seed looks like dead, what's not dead. Because when the right atmosphere, when it is in the right atmosphere, you see, it again is created in a completely different form than what the seed itself is. So human life also, like the seed, and the potential of the seed includes the quality of the tree in it. So human life includes the quality for a completely different creation, because human qualities go beyond the limits of this universe or this life. So it shouldn't be a vain thing that the human life is going to be wasted when we die. So the seed also not dies in the soil, but at its death, a completely different tree is created, different than the seed. But because it is in this world, so the seed is the one which is created in the fruit of the or in a tree. Some of them are in the fruit, some of them are not, but in a tree. But it is this ephemeral universe. So there is no eternity here. So we are trying to understand the creation in eternity. So we are giving an example from transient world, ephemeral world. So the ephemeral world must have its own limitations. But what we are going to use in analogy is the difference between two events, and take this difference, it means the seed and the tree. There is a difference of existence, but they are not totally different from each other. But of course, seed is not the tree. Of course, the seed has some sort of codes in it, but the codes are in the form of knowledge, not in the form of tree, the physical existence of the tree. So some codes in they call it, I don't know, the cell and DNA, whatever, I don't really understand the technical terms. Of course, these codes in the tree is not in the physical existence of the tree. The codes in the seed. Sorry, I might mixed up the language. Codes in the seed are not like the external tree out there, but what we know that the one who created the seed already wrote in it, recorded in it, that it knows what the seed is going to be recreated in another form. What it is going to be. It is a sign that the Creator knows what the seed is going to grow into a tree and what will physical existence of the tree will be. Exactly the same way human life is a seed. The one who created me encoded in me the eternal desire for eternal happiness in every sense. Everything I want must be eternal, must be perfect. But here, this is not in my physical body. It is as if the encodation of the seed, or in the seed, it is in my human seed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an example what the Quran keeps giving us, this example for an unknown and unperceivable, unpractical within the terms of this universe, another type of creation. Whether this creation is really logically acceptable, this promise of creation, or not, I don't know. I haven't experienced it. So the evidence for resurrection and eternal life after death must be given in the form that I can perceive, I can experience and see.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, in order to explain the eternal life, making an imaginary things that not physically experienced, or doesn't make sense, and it is not evidence. That is a very important principle, not only for this matter, for every matter. If you are speaking to a child about something he doesn't know, he or she doesn't know, so you have to make a comparison or make an analogy for this child to enable him or her to understand what you are referring to. What must be this example, or the evidence must be in the form of
Evidence that an experience.
in the form of or within the capacity of the child that he can understand and experience. Some people take this one, oh, the Quran is very simple. Use extremely simple examples. Yeah, extremely simple examples. Yeah, because of this reason. One of the commentators on this man's writings, he was a famous professor. I know him, and he wrote a lot about Nursi and his work. He said Nursi is crazy about giving the example of seeds. Every time, whatever happens, it gives the example, believing in the hereafter, the existence of hereafter, believing in the reality of the determination, divine determination, believing in the angels. Always, Nursi uses this example, which is a Quranic example. Not because it is Quranic example, it must be justifiable, because it is the logical way of proving something which is not within my capacity to perceive. For example, angels, I don't see them. A divine determining, I don't see them. I see a set order in the universe, but there's nothing seems to be divine. Divine means some unknown thing is operating in the universe. Everything seems to be operating regularly as if by themselves. And also resurrection. Why I haven't seen anybody who died and came back with another form in this universe. How can I believe in that? So it is necessary that the answer must be very clean and physically understandable and experiential. So simple, but it's a very important matter. When you read the Quran, if you are a scientist, or if you, well, most of you are scientists in one sense or another, not definitely that you are a science, you are a professor in a certain science, no, but you know how the universe works in one way or another, depending on your education. And when you read the Quran speaks to a very simple people at a very simple level, but makes sense. Okay.
For this reason,
Sorry. What's known prior to it?
I must know. As the one who receives the evidence, no, I must know it. Prior to, for example, I must know the evidence before I die and be resurrected. While I am here, I must know it while I am here. The evidence, I must know the evidence. So
it being the thesis.
what's that? Thesis?
Yeah, so the evidence
Yeah.
should be clearer than the thesis and known prior to it. So evidence should be known before
The thesis, whatever the Quran is suggesting.
for this reason, the apparent meanings of some Quranic verses relate to the impressions sensed by the majority of people.
Yeah. For this, that's why it must be very simple that everybody can understand. There should be no need for a special investigation. Anyone, illiterate people, for example, they should understand as well from their own life experience. There is no special education needed.
However, these verses are not intended to provide evidence for those impressions.
Yeah. What do you understand from it? Yeah, the main purpose is not the impression. Well, everybody can perceive it. For example, in order to give the example of the seed of a plant or an animal as well, not intended to provide evidence. No, I say, this is not the purpose itself.
Right.
It doesn't mean that the Quran is mentioning about the seed, does not mean that Quran is trying to teach how the seed is working or becoming into a tree. It is not its purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
That it's not merely just confirming sort of people's physical experience of
Yeah.
the
This is just an example, or it's an analogy.
right.
Now, that's what the Quran is full of allegorical explanations, especially when it comes to, as we are reading on Wednesday discussions, and it comes to human psychology, or everything is analogical. Every expression is analogical.
As well as serving for the establishment in the minds of people of the four basic purposes of the guidance of the Quran. So this is referring
referring to
previous paragraph of oneness, prophethood, bodily resurrection, and
the
justice
message.
and worship.
Yeah, and the revelation. Yeah,
Right.
oneness of the Creator, revelation, and the prophethood, that the Creator definitely employs instructors, and hereafter.
Right. I mean, it seems like by the word establishment that is what it is repeatedly trying to set.
That's it. Yeah, that's the purpose. If we study, for example, for 100 years, we will always talk about what for these four fundamental matters. Everything. Even the four fundamental matters does not include the belief in angels, and does not include in belief in the
Divine determination.
divine determining. But because the believing in angels is related to the act of Creator, so demonstrating himself or his qualities, and in the physical world. So angels, we refer to it very frequently. For example, if you look at an I don't know, a work, anything, there's a lamp there, for example, what you understand, the qualities of its maker are manifested in this lamp. So these qualities are not physically observable. Qualities are not physically observable. You see the lamp, but you don't see anything non-physical in it, but you see the form and how it functions, etc. You conclude that it is done by an intelligent person, preferred to be in this way. How did you know? Because it has another aspect in its existence, demonstrates the qualities of its maker. These demonstration of the qualities of its maker of the universe in general, every part in it, are represented in this word or in the language of the Quran as angels. So the Quran says angelic side of the universe, or it is usually dominion, translated as dominion, the melekut, dominions of the, but what is dominions of the universe? When you ask the question, what do we mean by dominions of the universe? Belongs to God. It means, in the Quranic language, melekut. Yeah, melek and melekut come from the same root, and melekut means we can comfortably translate this not dominion over the universe, which is the case, but this is power. It is power of the Creator. Dominion can be translated as angelic side of the universe. But of course, if someone doesn't know what angels are, or the concept of angel is in the Quran, he wouldn't understand what angelic side of the universe. What is angelic side of the universe? I see on the matter. That's why people don't prefer to translate it as angelic side of the universe. But if you understand the simple example, how we understand angels, that I gave the example, for example, lamp points to the qualities of its maker. This side of the lamp is angelic side of the lamp, not physical side of the lamp, but from the physical appearance of the lamp, I deduce necessarily, logically necessarily, that it has an angelic side. Physically not observable, but rationally, or you can easily perceive it. Sensually, you can easily perceive it. Logically, you cannot deny it. So, angelic side of the universe. Quran uses this word very frequently. Okay.
They contain such subtle truths that they attract the attention of researchers and truth-seeking people.
Yeah. So these examples, maybe uneducated people cannot interpret them, but they cannot benefit what they are referring to, and also how they can benefit from it within the universe. But experts can do that. Expert people can do that. We'll use the simple examples and think about what it refers to, and then benefit from it and use it, apply it to the universe in this way.
I think it's important to state that in this understanding, to be an expert or not is essentially a person's choice. Like, it's not that people are made in a way where one's an expert and one's not, but rather that too is dependent on how I utilize my own existence here.
Yeah, but I think what we are talking about here, although the examples are so simple and understandable by any ordinary man, anyone at any age, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't satisfy the experts in the subject. Yeah, it does satisfy, but they have to deduce it. They should understand that the Quran is speaking to general public, and the general public are not educated and don't know the details in how the universe is functioning. But I know in some part, not everything, but in a place, in an area, in a field of study, I know how it works. This person also can benefit from the teachings of the Quran, but not for his scientific research. It means researching how the order of the universe is functioning. But the purpose in his research must be what? To understand the angelic side of creation in a great detail. But if someone doesn't use his studies to understand the angelic side of the universe, but just physical side, coming to the lamp and saying that it is a metal here, straight standing up there, and there is an console underneath to keep it up. And what is he doing? This man, not looking at the angelic side of it. As if the console, it is there by itself, and the, how do you say, the rod or whatever you call it, main, sorry? Rod is metal by itself, and there is an electrical system in it. It happened to be like this, I don't know. The materialist science, secular science, scientists, I mean, we have to be careful. There is no secular science. Secular scientists. There is no secular religion, but secular religious people. So you can study religion, the revelation, but you can study the revelation in a secular way. You are a secular scientist or secular scholar studying the scripture. It means, for example, studying the scripture only from linguistic perspective, what happens? Only. But benefiting from it is different. Only for the linguistic purpose.
The same thing as someone studying.
Secular. Yeah. Although studying the Quran, the Bible, but it is a secular study. So we have to make sure that there is no secular science, because there is no secular universe. There is nothing happening in the world that the secularist worldview can justify itself, use it as an evidence and justify itself. So there is secular scientist, but the science itself, studying the universe, is pointing to its creator. It means acting as an, or in order to demonstrate angelic side of it to human beings, what it means to human beings, what it refers to in its existence. So when we use secular science, there is no secular science. You understand that? There is only secular scientists. There is no secular religion, but there are secular scholars studying religious materials in a physical way. So if you are going to study the language Arabic or something, we have to be very careful not to turn into a secularist scholar in Arabic language. Okay.
So if I get the difference right, the difference between a common person's, a parent, meaning that they're getting out of the Quran, and in this case, the researcher, truth-seeking person.
But they reach the same aim.
Right.
Now, one of them says, this universe shows that it is a creator. The other one says, this universe shows that everything in the universe shows that the educated ones shows that the universe points to the unimaginable qualities of the creator. But the same thing. Ultimately, they come to the same point. But secular people, not secular, ordinary people, I'm sorry. Ordinary people may not become aware of the qualities of the creator and so amazing that all his actions are miracles. They say, well, really, this must have been created. But for the person who is an expert on studying a part of the universe, it's possible just to be amazed and mesmerized and go and prostrate before the act of the creator. Yeah? There is a difference. But ultimately, they believe in God, both of them. The quality of belief or the content of belief definitely changes.
Quality of belief.
Yeah, changes.
So the common people cannot reach the high quality.
I don't know. Depends on how much they spend time on reflecting on the creation and the angelic side of the existence. But it doesn't mean that they don't, but depends on the capacity, how much they know. So, for example, do you know any art? For example, literature. If you are a person who's expert on literature, what you do, you can really appreciate the value of a piece of literature. But if you are like me, not a person of literature, when they say this is a beautiful poem, well, I read it. What's this man saying? I don't appreciate it because I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't mean that I deny that it is a poem, but I don't benefit from the quality of art in it because I am not expert on it. So some people, for example, love some sort of some singers, for example, musicians. When they hear that, they really appreciate it. When they hear that he's coming, oh, cool. No one can stop them to see the gala. This person is going to present and he's going to see, because they must appreciate it. But for me, they pay maybe $100 for a view to go there. But if they pay me $100, I wouldn't go there. Not because I don't like it, no, because I don't appreciate the value of the music or the song. But it doesn't mean anything to me. Do you understand? They pay 100, I don't pay. Plus, if they pay me 100, definitely I wouldn't go. Still, I wouldn't go to appreciate the music. But I can go there for other reasons. What these people are after. Yeah, what are they trying to find out? How do they try to satisfy their human needs? Is it right? It is wrong? Does it make sense? Analyze. I may go, but not in order to appreciate the singer. But I don't, because I don't really know the value of the song or any music. Tell it. Nothing.
But in this case, we're still establishing that the ordinary person is still using, rational sort of like they're still rationally articulating it to themselves.
Human.
It's not just intuition, just because I feel
Yeah.
that there is
Both.
both.
Human. It's a human being.
Right,
That's why
right,
I don't definitely use when we come to analyze human behavior in terms of rational actions or sensual actions. No, a human reaction. We are human beings in our totality.
Mhm. The verses of the Quran, clear in themselves and clearly showing the basic truths, interpret one another. Some verses uncover the jewels of meanings contained in their siblings. So it seems that they're in understanding one can illuminate the meaning of another.
Yeah, it helps.
Right.
It helps. How do you know that? For example, if you study the Quran, spend some time on it, study it as much as you can. Take these people's writings or explanations. They spent their time in order to understand the Quran better. They are somehow experts. As you go to school, you listen to your teacher to learn. Yeah. So you benefit from the others. Let's say you studied the Quran from cover to cover. It took you 2 years. Yeah. And so you say, okay, I understand something. Okay, go back and read it again. Definitely, your understanding becomes clearer and more encompassing. The whole teachings of the Quran, anytime you read, anytime you reflect on it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the beauty in the literature value of the scriptures. The more you study, the more excited you become and never be satisfied. Even if somebody reads once and that's it, I read the Quran, what it's talking about, I know what it is, and never reads it again, and he misvalue the Quran. It must go back and read it, and he will say, oh, I understood in another way, now better.
Mm-hmm.
It means in the course of following the verses of the Quran, one after the other, then you are benefiting from the explanations or evidences presented to you by the other verses. So that when you come and learn the second time, the meaning you delve into becomes larger and deeper. That is the nature of the scriptures.
So can it be said that some verses provide conceptual context for other verses?
Helps, support each other. In this sense, there is no, as people say, and as far as I study, I can say the same thing or claim the same thing. That's why Quran never contradicts each other within itself, always pointing to the four fundamental matters that the Quran aims at. Four fundamentals. Every word you can, verse or the sentence of the Quran you can study, you will find that they are all supporting to the same purpose of the Quran, from different perspectives, from different by using different examples and using different human feelings. That is also interesting because human feelings are so immense. Now, once you understand this one, another time you understand another aspect of it, another aspect of it. It is not static. Human senses are not static, as the universe is not static. They are all dynamic. They work in harmony with the human capacity, actually.
We can also say the four basic purposes support each other within themselves, right?
Yeah, but clarify it better and make the reader feel more and more certain, more and more certain about the purpose of the Quran. Provide snip evidence from different perspectives for the same purpose.
So let's say I'm reading a text, maybe the same one. When I read it again in another year, just because of the nature of my emotions, I may be able to interpret it differently.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can say that with many different texts, right? A book that I read 2 years ago, I read it again, it like illuminates something different about it. So in that case, it's difficult for me to separate a text from, let's say, the Quran. But I guess the only way that I'm able to separate this and say is that one claims to be the speech of the Creator and the other does not claim the same thing. Hence, they could be
because of the content. Because of the content. For example, if you read a physics book, okay, once you read it, the second time you really understand after coming back, and that's it. It is limited within the content of the book. But if you read a literature, let's say a novel which is written in order to express a certain worldview, most of the classicals are written in this sense. They are not novels really. They teach you philosophy, if you like. So the more you read, once and twice, and you understand better. But in this way, they are not like the Quran, because Quran refers to the absolute being and the qualities, the absolute qualities of that being. So realizing the absolute qualities of the being who created the universe has absolute levels. So there is no end there. But in the literature, human-made literature, you understand the philosophy and that's it. Whatever this person, not an ordinary novel, of course, and serious thinking man's level, not thrillers. So there is a similarity, but it doesn't mean that the content-wise they are the same, because Quran refers to the absolute aspect of this creation with no time and space restrictions. And also reading the universe, referring to the absolute qualities of its maker. So absolute qualities need stage by stage development of your understanding of these qualities. How can you prove it? I'm sorry. How can you prove it? Study and see.
Right.
Yeah, that's
because I was thinking practically the only way to prove this is by, let's say, studying the Quran every day or something, for an X number of times, and then studying another text for an X number of times. There will be a limit to the other text, whereas there may not be a limit. But practically speaking, it's difficult to experiment this.
Yeah. I experienced in my life. I read the Quran several times, quite a number of times, from cover to cover. And I am, for myself, of course, it is for me. I am a witness to this. There is no end. I am a witness, but there are many other people, not like me, a layman, the professional in this case. They know, I say, I understood the Quran, and that's it. The more they discover, they read, the more they realize that they didn't really grasp the meaning, but just layer by layer. That's what they say.
Therefore, we should try to see those more important meanings that lie under their apparent literal meanings.
Yeah. But it means really, if you read the Quran literally, it becomes a secular reading.
Right.
Most of the people, I must have told you, but of course, people are innocent. When I was in hospital, and there was a nurse, he found out that I was reading something in Arabic, or that anything written in Arabic for them, for this innocent people, is Quran. So they say, "Are you studying?" I'm not studying. They don't know studying the Quran. This concept doesn't exist. Are you reading the Quran? I said, "Yeah. I mean, try to see something." He said, she said, sorry, was it? She said, just I wanted to read it and what that says, what it says. Just I also wanted to read. I also want to read. Sorry, not wanted. I also want to read the book and see what it says. It means she is going to read the Quran literally. Yeah. So we have to be careful that we cannot read the Quran literally, because if you read the Quran literally, what happens? It becomes a secular text. Maybe a beautiful example of Arabic, classic Arabic language, but just a classic Arabic language.
But I guess there's also like it says apparent and literal meaning. So in this case, when we were talking about an ordinary person reading it, this even applies to them. That whatever, even if the apparent meaning, to seek the meaning behind it, the
Yeah, if
layers
they
of those
do,
meanings.
not without aiming at understanding the meaning,
Right.
whatever the means they use, just read the text itself, it becomes a literal meaning, literal reading.
Mhm.
But you don't understand, you don't try to understand what it says, not necessarily language-wise. At least you may not know Arabic, but the experts explained what they mean. If you try to benefit from them and go another expert, study another expert, you become, from this perspective, it means this. From another perspective, the same text means this. So you start enlarging or
Right.
deepening your understanding of the text. But just for the sake of, it is a common language that to receive reward, read the Quran to receive reward. And it means a kind of secular reading. Although the intention of the person is not secular. He or she says, I am reading the word of God. But cannot go deeper because it doesn't know, the person doesn't know what it refers to. So for this person, it is whatever it is, but we don't know the intention, the capacity, expectations. We don't know about the people. But what we can say, literal reading of the revelation or the revealed books or the books claim to be a revealed text is a secular reading. Reading the text itself. That's why Quran needs to be studied, not
Right.
only read.
So even the common people, he has to try to get the meaning, so that he has to study a little bit.
No, but pay attention to the
Pay
meaning.
attention, man. Just
Not necessarily Arabic
reading.
one. Those people who explained what experts explained what they understood from the text in the reader's vernacular language, reader's mother tongue, then he or she can develop better understanding. But if you don't refer to any explanation of the meaning that the text you are reading, depending on your intention, why you are reading, etc., is another matter. but it is a secular reading. Well, for example, if you do the same, it means you are treating the Quran as a secular book or secular text. If you do the same thing. But most of the people have different intention, we don't know. We are not judging about people, but we are just saying what is right, what's wrong.
Shall I start the next? A false supposition and a reminder. If, in order to draw attention to God's existence and oneness, the Quran clearly mentioned electricity, the law of gravity, the daily or annual movements of the earth, the formation of chemical compositions with the 70, now more than 100 elements that have been discovered, and the sun's stability despite its apparent movement, then the proofs would have been more hidden and in need of explanation than the thesis itself. For this reason, the Quran uses a language that is comprehensible for every level of understanding and never throws its audience into confusion, taking into consideration the level of the majority of the people without ever neglecting the elite and referring to certain subtle realities that will be discovered over time through metaphors, comparisons, and similes. So the first sentence, if in order to draw attention to God's existence and oneness,
We have to always remember that when any text, even the Quran says oneness, ahad, it means absolute. We have to bear in mind God's existence and oneness. So what does it mean really? One God somewhere. It doesn't mean that. It's absolute.
no beginning, no end.
Sorry?
No beginning, no end.
No beginning nor end, no comparison.
Right.
You cannot count.
Right.
There is one God here and not the second one. No, it is meaningless. But this is literal translation of the word ahadiyya, wahadiyya, or wahdat.
This may be a little digressive, but I read that it cannot be called Wahad because Wahad means that there could be a two. So it's always
So
Ahad.
it doesn't matter. So what that are they suggesting? Not
That you
wahad.
cannot say one, but you have to say absolute. Like it should
Yeah, it's
refer to
absolute,
absolute
yeah.
instead of one.
Now, instead of saying one, we have to say absolute.
Right.
Yeah. But have you ever read any text which says we have to say absolute, not one or two? No, they say when you say a number, use a number for the creator is wrong. But I have seen. To be honest, I read some people inferring to it, but not really being so strict about it. Because their understanding of ahad means the only one, unique one, etc. They are not really describing that in terms of number, but a unique one. It is unique to its own being, etc. But I prefer to use the word his, or the creator, God, which is called God, and his absoluteness. That's what I prefer to use, this language.
So, in order to draw attention to God's existence and absoluteness, the Quran clearly mentioned electricity, the law of gravity, annual movements of the earth, chemical compositions, and the sun's stability. Then the proofs would have been more.
Okay.
it says, then the proofs would have been more hidden and in need of explanation than the thesis itself.
No, I think, well, I don't know, would you like to say something new about this sentence?
I'm not sure if I fully understood what's being said here.
Okay.
When it read the first time, we're saying, I guess it's saying, in order to draw attention, right, to his absoluteness, if his speech clearly started describing things like electricity and so on and so forth, like things that are very currently in use, is what is considered to be perhaps understood by people that are like that aren't the vast majority, but like you can say the elite or people that are good studiers of like people that seriously study how things work. So is it just saying that then it would have just addressed the elite and not the vast majority?
If
it did
the
that.
text went into details of these simple examples.
But why is it talking about the proofs would have been more hidden? What proofs is it referring to?
Because the proofs to God's existence and his absoluteness.
Ah, I see. Okay.
The point is God's being absolute. Or to prove that the universe points to something else. The purpose is to the universe points to something else other than itself. So simple.
I think just additionally that sometimes if certain details are not accessible to all people, the details end up obscuring a matter further rather than clarifying it.
Yeah. So it shouldn't give a detailed explanation about the movement of the sun. Or it diverts the attention because you start really concentrating on the movement of the sun rather than reading its angelic message in its existence. So it should be so simple.
Observable by regular.
So if you remember, I don't know on which class we had, we said all these excitements about the people's excitements about scientific references to the existence of something is not really valid to me. Otherwise, those people who read those verses would not benefit from it for let's say, 1,000 years ago. So it wouldn't be fair. So everybody will understand from the same message, not the details of the evidence, right? But what it refers to, what the evidence refers to. The detail is up to you. We can study the detail and become more surer and surer about the necessity of the existence of the one who gave existence to it. No, existence of the one who created the universe. You can become sure and you can comprehend his qualities better as you study the universe. But the Quran's purpose is not to give evidence that it is mentioning about something which will be clear in the future. So they are disputable. I don't want to give examples that everything claimed to be giving information about the explanation or about discoveries which will take 1,000 years later is, to me, arbitrary interpretations. And it logically doesn't make sense. And it also fundamentally contradicts the purpose of the Quran, which will speak to everyone at their level. To discover the details depends on human study of the universe. That's up to you. But you can interpret, oh, it is saying this, it is saying this, but it's saying the same thing. But the purpose is to prove the thesis, if you like, or the whatever the Quran claims to teach people. Not really giving secret information. Yeah. So, but you can understand the same example at different levels according to your discovery of the order of the universe.
Taking into consideration the level of the majority of the people without ever neglecting the elite and referring to certain subtle realities that will be discovered over time through metaphors, comparisons, and similes. But in this case, don't you think the author is suggesting discoveries over time? The concept that,
It will develop.
Right.
But the Quran's aim is not giving a secret information
Right.
as far as the physical existence of the universe is concerned. For example, most of the people they say, okay, it's very famous that the verse of the Nur, light verse. It is talking about electric that we understood now. Maybe that's up to you, but how some people, some commentators said or explained it as how the malakut, the angelic side of creation, involves many levels of realization of the truth becoming apparent to them. For example, the Quran says this lamp has no fuel from neither west nor east. Yeah, it means the belief in the eternal life cannot be found anywhere in the universe. Right? Well, I've read this one, so it's a legitimate understanding. Because you cannot see, not the evidence, you cannot see what the universe refers to in the West or in the East. And you cannot really see anyone from the West, from the East, everywhere, all sides, talking about this unless the Creator reveals that it exists and the universe points to its existence and absoluteness.
Are you saying that the question of am I created cannot exist without the Creator revealing something to me?
No, I am made by the elements of the universe, you can only say. For example, you can only say that all the that's what the materialists say now. All the composition of the elements in the composition of human body is already in the universe. And also order of the universe is by itself. But you can only say there must be something beyond this, but you cannot really come to the conclusion or reach the conclusion which confirms that this being is absolute. So there is an argument between the scholars, in wisdom scholars, whether you can find God by yourself, or you cannot find it, depending on what you understand. A being must be necessary. Yes, you can find it, but you cannot define this being beyond the limitations or the limits of the universe. So you say, that's why some people believe and worship in the sun. Some people believe and worship in stars or this kind of things. There must be something there. For example, the modern tendency is they believe that the universe itself. So, what everything, all reality is just the universe itself.
Right.
Yeah, it is so wonderful by itself. That they say.
When you say that, let's say if there is no way for me to know of a creator without the creator revealing itself.
No, the sentence is not complete. A creator, by definition, creator must be what?
Absolute.
Absolute. If someone is not absolute, cannot be the creator.
So, continuing that train of thought, let's say I cannot conclude that there is an absolute creator unless the creator reveals itself to me. Isn't that what a person can still conclude with looking at, I guess, the temporariness or the transientness of the universe without having to necessarily read the text? And of course, one can say that
being aware of the text message. Most of the people speculate about it because they heard what the text says, there is God.
Yeah. But even if you look at creation, essentially the creator is revealing itself or its absoluteness through, showing its work.
So human mind cannot go
Beyond it.
beyond the limitations of the universe. So that's why human mind cannot go beyond the universe and the source of the existence of the universe as being the absolute being, and he has this such and such qualities.
But yet here we are still confirming that the creator must be absolute because of...
Oh, no, depends on there must be a creator is different from this creator must be absolute. I mean, even the word creator there is a problematic. Can human beings really, human mind find itself? But think about it. The creator, a creator, a creator creating without hearing the message from the revelation.
No.
The creator, the word creator by definition necessitates something, that there is something gives existence to things without using any material, any physical action.
It would be complete speculation because you would have no such concept.
If you don't hear it. But when you hear it, you start investigating the universe. Does the universe really refer to it, point to it? Then you can question that the source of its existence must be absolute. And this source of existence doesn't need any matter, because we can make analogies like this. Definitely, this universe, this computer has a maker. But human minds only work in this way. This maker has used already existing material, benefiting from how the things function. But that's why if we are not careful, we may not be able to make the distinction between human beings making something, and the source of existence of the universe creating. Human beings cannot create. They use always already existing material. But what they can only conclude is when I look at the machine, which some materialist philosophers say you cannot really take the machine as an example, because this machine is made by a person who used already existing material. So, but when you say God, you claim that he never used any already existing material. How can I believe that? These are the great philosophers. So when the people say there must be a maker, mustn't it? Like the computer, this computer must have a maker, mustn't it? That's sure, it must. The universe also must have a maker, but they cannot qualify it. Yeah, they cannot qualify. This creator is not like a human being or anything within the universe, because it is a creator. But people, simple people, take that the engineer of this computer is a creator. He created the computer, because they say, look, before there was no computer. Now there is a computer. Now he created it. Some artists about anything, they say, I created this because it was it didn't exist before. I made it. Yeah, a painter, for example, or a singer, for example, I don't know, an artist and somebody who designs graphic or something. What they say, it didn't exist and I made it. That's why human mind cannot go beyond this reasoning.
A
By
common
itself.
one I hear is my parents made it.
Sorry?
My parents made a baby, so that's
They say,
making
yeah,
it. That's a common one.
Yeah, they made it. But they cannot go beyond it. Only after the creator points himself, teaches human beings that, look, the one who gave existence to the universe is not acting as the one who gave not existence or composed this computer. Because the one who composed this universe, composed this computer, this machine, used already existing elements. But especially the Torah and Quran emphasize that the universe is given existence by a one who never uses any elements. It means, as the Quran clearly states it, he wills and it happens. Must be. That's how I can understand so far. He wills and that's it. His will is enough. He doesn't. It means he wills and whatever he wills exists, but was created, is created. Now it means you can only understand the difference between human action and the creator of the universe's action. Human beings cannot will something and it happens out there. No. You have to use already existing materials, your brain, your previous experiences, your talents, which are given. That's why we, in our discussions, it is extremely important. We always say that human beings can only benefit from the universe and do something which are given to them. But the Quran says, no, the creator of the universe is not like this. Creator of the universe doesn't use anything. Oh, there is no example in the universe which is acting without using anything. Most intelligent creature, as far as we know, We are responsible for our own capacity. Human beings, can you create anything? That's what we keep saying in the classes, that human beings can discover something, but discover it because it already exists in the universe. Right? That's very important because the materialists don't want to see it. They just skip it. They don't want to mention that human beings use only what is already in the existence. I think very recently we talked that we have to thank God who enabled human beings, provided the necessary means for human beings, and also intelligent for human beings, and also in the order of the universe, how to make a cell phone. They are already there. They discovered it. So when I use the telephone, what I say?
You're being the order.
Alhamdulillah. Thank God. What? Why don't you praise the maker of this universe? But at the same time, human mind works with analogy. So you can make an analogy by looking at the computer. I'm making an analogy now. Analogy. It didn't exist as a computer before. It's a new combination of different functions in the universe, the order of the universe. They get together, but they are already there. But what I understand, this computer needs an engineer, yeah, to combine the means of making the computer work. It needs an intelligent being who chooses from among already existing things. Right? Now, although it is human being, he has to choose from among already existing things because human beings cannot create. Right? But this analogy is valid only there is a need for an intelligent being to collect different sources from a man-created being, but collect different sources. So take this concept. An intelligent being must have collected and got together to make the computer. The computer cannot exist by itself as an analogy. So this analogy, this need is an intelligent agent in order to become a computer, right? So how about the universe? It is countless times more complicated than the computer. So it needs an intelligent agent as well. Now, only in this category of analogy, it works. Now, the agent of the computer uses already existing elements within the universe. How about the agent of the universe? Does it use doesn't need to use the already existing elements, universe. He created the universe. He must be, the universe must have a creating agent who gave existence to it without using already existing elements. So conclude this one, the intelligent agent must be not of the nature of universe, which is called absolute. We call it absolute. Do you understand it? So we shouldn't confuse the analogy where a lot of, quite a number of philosophers, especially scientifically minded philosophers, with using the elements in the universe. These philosophers, not thinking abstract way, but in a more concrete and a physical way, they confuse this. They confuse this analogy and ridicule the analogy. Ridicule the analogy. Because in this analogy, two ends are what? In the creation. Human being and the material and the order. They are all in the universe. They are. They are given existence. They are given existence. But this analogy, they say, oh, okay, the engineer made this computer by using this and this and this. What did God, you say God, they take it for granted. What it means, they don't think about it. They don't want to think about it. That's why they cannot really understand the truthfulness of it. What you say God, which kind of elements did he use? But it's not God. If someone needs elements to use, but by definition we understand, after revelation reveals the nature of God. Nature means, general quality of God, not essence of God. Which kind of quality is needed to be a creator? To be a creator, you have to have the ability to create, to give existence to something with no element is used. No pre-existing element is used. That is absolute. So that some people confuse this analogy and make God like the engineer of the computer without realizing that it has, if you go further than the analogy itself, then you are in trouble. You cannot really define God. But on the other hand, because of the mistake of the people who say this logic proves God without realizing until what limit it is an analogy, and after what limit this analogy doesn't work. This analogy must be used only for one purpose, not two purposes. Now, reason says this computer needs an intelligent designer. Universe also needs an intelligent designer, but the intelligent designer of the computer is within the universe, using already existing elements. But the universe, the intelligent designer of the universe, conscious designer of the universe, I prefer this word, conscious designer of the universe, does it need to use elements in order to make the universe? It cannot be the creator. Yeah? And where the elements are. Now I am in the universe, I am using the elements here, already existing, but if you go out of the universe, at this logically, where are the elements? So in order to explain the existence of the universe and what are in its what they contain, what the universe contains in it, all the elements, need a creator who gave existence from nothing. That's why the definition of creator is a conscious designer is not like the conscious designer of the computer. We have to use it. For example, the analogy is given, look, mirror is reflecting the light, right? So mirror is made up of glass. So glass cannot be the source of light. It means it's getting its light somewhere else. But this example within the universe, but logically it makes sense. If the mirror is reflecting light, if it is not from the mirror itself, the source of the light is not the mirror itself, there must be another source, right? Does it make sense? Now, this analogy works only up to this point. And afterwards you say, okay, I know that the mirror is getting the light from the sun. It's not a right analogy. No, it is an analogy. So the universe is manifesting qualities, right? And the matter itself cannot be logically, it cannot be the source of these qualities. It is stupid, it is blind, as the Quran says. Do they have the Quran's explanation of this? It's a very simple. Do they have any hand to hold with? Do they have any legs to walk with? Do they have any eyes to see with? What is the Quran talking really? Emnehum erjulun, etc., etc. Is there any of these qualities in matter in the particle that he will walk, see, understand, choose? No. So that's what the Quran says. Very simple. They don't. They don't. We know that they don't. So it is not. It is like the example of the mirror. Does the glass have any quality to be the source of the light it reflects? Obvious. No. It's the same thing. But this is just an example. It is just an analogy. It has another source. So come to the universe. The universe has qualities. And the elements of the universe cannot be the source of these qualities because they have no choice, no quality to be the source of these the qualities manifested in them. For example, looking at the lamp, looking at the computer, do you think the computer has the quality to make itself into a computer? But there is something reflecting there. This something reflecting there is not from the computer itself. It must be somewhere else. That logic works. But when we apply it to God, God is not like the sun. Sun already exists in the universe. God is not like the engineer. Engineer already exists in the universe. And they all use what they are given. But when I question, take this logic and apply it to the existence of the universe, what happens? Yeah, but the universe must have also an intelligent maker. Yeah, an external, not of its same source, but the computer must be made by some external agent. Now, universe must have been made or must be made by an externally existent agent. What is that? What is that? So human logic only works within the conditions of the universe unless it is pointed out. That's why revelation is necessary. Without revelation, we cannot imagine an absolute being who has the ability to create without using an element. Yeah? Without using an element. Not like the engineer, just will. Not like the sun, in the example of the sun in the mirror, just that one, the creator of the universe, must create it in order to be able to create it. Must make it, must create it without any using material, just as a result of will. That's what we can understand. That's what Quran describes the act of universe as the result of the will of the creator. He willed it in this way. That's it. He willed it in this way. That's it. Without using it means without using any. Yeah. That's why the terminology, I don't know, it's mubashara. Without mubashara, it means physically being in contact with it. Just will. So if someone says, I created it, okay, we should say, just will it. for example, let's say an architect says, I created this model of the house. Okay? Will it? And it will happen. Not work on it. Cannot use the gravity and other principles in the order of the universe. Use it that I want a building like this. Building is there. Okay, you are a creator. Or make something without using any pre-existing element. So human mind can understand that there must be something in the analogy, there must be an engineer. Then they say that the same human mind understand that there must be a creator. That is what some scholars said, human mind can find God. No, they cannot find God. They can find
The necessity.
of the agent. But can they define God? Some scholars said belief in God means or necessitates the quality described. And we cannot find absolute qualities. And they said, no, human mind cannot find God. But some people blindly follow the scripture and saying that we cannot really write a book like the Quran, etc. Or he says God and I believe in God. They are the simplest minded people. But those division between the scholarship between yes, human mind can find God, those people, the other one says no, human minds cannot find God. They bring some sort of acceptable explanations, but of course they talk about God. Both sides talk about God without qualifying. What do you mean by God? What do you mean by God? So human beings, that's why the pagan traditions or polytheists, they say, I don't know whether polytheist is the right word or not, accepting a symbol or anything as representing God because they cannot imagine going out of the universe. That's why they need to represent this necessary existence of the external agent. External agent. No, because we cannot comprehend it, we have to symbolize it. That idol worshipping is nothing but symbolization. Yeah. Symbolization of this notion that there must be not a creator, there must be an agent behind the existence of universe, and I cannot comprehend it, and let me symbolize it. Because this logic is within human capacity. And we can see the examples in the universe. Seems to be so simple, but to me, it is not that simple to make the distinction. Because the Muslim scholars discussed that, can human beings find God? Oh, excuse me, where did you get the concept of God? What are you talking about? This is a logical fallacy. No, he can. No, he cannot. What? Find God. What's God? Where did you get this concept, God? If there was no revelation. Where did you get this concept, God? So, this is a very simple logic, a logical mistake or fallacy, defect. Okay, this is interesting. Simple, but interesting. We have to be careful when we are giving the example, saying that, look, this computer needs a maker. Yeah? So you have to limit your analogy to only between two elements, the difference between two elements. Here is the computer, and there must be an engineer too. This is it. But this engineer is a part of the universe. That is a different subject now. It's not there. This computer needs an engineer. It means an actor, an agent. That's it. That's the example. Understand? Let's investigate the universe and see whether the universe itself needs an agent, and which kind of agent it can be, it must be. So this must be the creator agent. Creator agent. And you have to define what creator means.
So the creator agent means creating without nothing, with will.
Why? Without, not without nothing, it's just with will, yes, with will, yeah. Not using any element.
Okay, without revelation, you reach that conclusion that creator is
Must be. Yeah,
Must
you
be
can't.
absolute.
You can't.
You can?
Of course you can't. How can you? Because your mind cannot go beyond the universe by using the examples of the universe. So there must be a message explaining the existence of a necessary being which must have given existence only with will. That's it. It was absolute. How can you, if you have never heard of the concept of God, that's what, speak to Koreans or this Buddhist Koreans, Chinese, Japanese, speak to them, God, what? They don't have this concept. It's very difficult to heart. I mentioned.
But they can have the concept of agent.
Yeah, agent, but you know, they say the nature is the agent, for example. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, natural laws are the agent. Or constants in the order of the universe are the agent. But they don't really describe which kind of agent are they.
So that
Do they have free will? No, they cannot go beyond the universe.
That means creation, yeah, universe.
Not the universe, not the creation now. We cannot use the word creation at this stage. The
universe cannot point the absoluteness of God.
No, it does. It does, but human mind cannot find it by itself.
With revelation.
Now, after revelation explains, why don't I think about it in this way? Why don't I give the possibility of the existence of a necessary absolute being?
After revelation, it can.
Yeah. So after revelation, the human beings can talk about creator. But if someone is not aware of the content of the word creation or the creator, what does really mean, should mean, and for example, a singer says, I have created this song. He doesn't really know what is he talking about, the word. But I have composed it using my abilities. Yeah, you did. Using already existing elements. But they are not aware of which kind of language they are using. Some believers in God also are not aware of which kind of language they are using and what they really mean by the vocabulary they use for their arguments. So we have to learn it. We have to work on it, study.
How can I confirm that if I did not have the notion of something, which I already do have right now, that I would not be able to think of it just using the universe?
No.
Not making the jump, not being able to make the jump from the universe to created the universe. Like, do I have to talk to then someone
Created,
else?
you are using the word consciously.
Right.
Created.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, making that transition there. I already have the notion I can't make it go away to see. So in order for me to confirm this for myself, then do I have to talk to someone else who doesn't have the notion?
No, you have to hear and use the revelation. That's why the revelation itself says, if someone has not revealed me, this person is not responsible to believe in the creator. But they can either take the attitude of negligence. Well, I don't know. I don't care about what I grow, what I eat, what I have. Or they think and they say there must be an agent. I'm not using creator because creator word is very strong. An agent, but I don't know who he is. But I don't deny that it is necessary to have an agent. So what the general public does usually, it symbolizes this agent in the form of something, either star or the sun or anything representing this agent, because I don't know. But potentially human beings are able to receive this message from the creator, and this potentiality starts developing into capacity. Otherwise, by itself, no. That's why if someone doesn't receive the revelation doesn't take them to account why they have not acknowledged God, the creator itself. Quran says we are not going to punish or take into account those people to whom we have not sent our message. So we cannot treat the Chinese as you treat, I don't know, the people in America. But in this form or another form, they have heard the creator. But have they worked on it? Have they taken it seriously? That's the problem, the personal problem, not the theoretical problem. Theoretical problem works only for those people who have never heard any message from revelation.
So without any revelation,
Without
any revelation, I have the potentiality, or human beings have the potentiality to conclude an agent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
that's it.
And then things nurtures.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah.
I guess in our case, like when I say our, people who are familiar with the idea or the concept of revelation introducing the nature of the creator, we can still test the theory or the idea that without revelation, we would not know anything more about the agent by the second step to what we are studying here, which is answers to my human questions. Because without revelation, we should test ourselves and try and find them, and see, whether we find them anywhere, and then come to revelation and see does that satisfy. So we can still test whether revelation
Yeah, of course. We are enabled, or we are capable to check the revelation. But without revelation, we cannot go. What the people did, it is interesting. I don't know whether you may find it a bit superfluous detail, but for example, human beings, either by revelation previous revelations, or by themselves, zero and infinite. Now, what mathematics say about zero? They don't say about the zero as non-existence, a thing which does not exist. They make comparison. For example, there were 3 plates here. Now, you take the plate 1 and take the plate 2 and take the plate 3, and what happens? There is no plate in the room. It means mathematically there is 0 plate in the room. Mathematically, right? That's human mind. But if there was no such concept as a plate or any object, can I say zero? That's why Vikings or the Western civilization could not find zero. Yeah, in Latin numbers, there is no zero, there is no absolute. Couldn't find. But later on, human mind developed that, look, but be careful when I say zero in mathematically, it means human logic says zero signifying or pointing to the absence of something. You understand? No, absence of something. That's why people, when you use the language of God created out of nothing, yeah, ex nihilo, yeah, what the materialists say, mean that now there must be something, but there is not anymore, because they cannot have this totally abstract notion of non-existence. That's why the physics law is what? There is you cannot send anything into non-existence. You cannot bring anything into existence from non-existence. Everything is within the universe. That's a human logic. Yeah, Lavoisier law. So human logic can only think of within the conditions of this universe. How about zero? Sorry, the opposite of zero. Everything is there actually. The number 1, 2, 3 is not important. Number 0 and absolute is important. So infinite. No, they don't say absolute. Infinite. Infinite is important. How about infinite? When mathematicians, there are different definitions of infinite in mathematics. I'm not a mathematician, but I hear or read here, and they're very simple. There are different definitions of infinite. It means if you start counting the atoms, particles of the universe, you cannot get to the end. Mathematically, how can you express this? Infinite. Look again, within the conditions of the universe, right? Human disability or incapable of counting it. But can a materialist mind, it means not open to the revelation, imagine infinite refers to something beyond the universe? What's your answer? No. No. What about the level of understanding of infinite is in mathematics? It's always within the universe. Now, if one says, after having this concept of God the creator, God must be infinite. But it doesn't mean mathematical infinite. That's what we call it absolute, not to confuse the vocabulary. Because vocabulary, absolute means not within the capacity or the limits of the universe. Because mathematics cannot measure which is not within the universe. But human mind cannot measure which is not within the universe, either in terms of zero or in terms of infinite. That's why human mind always works with what? Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, continue. Right? That is why the Europeans could not find zero and infinite unless they heard from somebody else. But if you apply it within the mathematical terms, still it is not the same as the revelation mentions about zero and mentions about absolute. Now, when Revelation speaks about zero, it means not the mathematical zero, but it means non-existence within the capacity of universe. not non-existence, absolute. Again, there is no absolute non-existence. We have to be careful with our language. There is no absolute non-existence. Do you get it? Non-existence of a thing that I imagine within the universe. Yes. There is non-existence. That's why they say some animals or some imaginary beings. So you understand that. But still again, these are used, unicorn or whatever they say, the other things, some concepts. I don't know what they are talking.
Phoenix.
Sorry?
Phoenix.
Phoenix, for example. Not within the, it means Phoenix is human mind, not within the universe. What they want, non-existence of Phoenix, within the universe again. They cannot say there is no absolute non-existence. That's why the physics works within the universe, not in absolute terms. Right? They try to count the number of the galaxies, for example. They try to understand the quality of the signals they receive from the galaxies within the universe. So only revelation comes and says there is something without the universe. Not within, but without. There is something without the universe. And that is why there is no absolute non-existence, but you can imagine something and it doesn't exist within the universe. Correct. Physically exists. That's correct. That's why you cannot physically imagine what? Come on. Absolute creator. You cannot physically imagine absolute creator. That's why fundamentally, Quranic teaching is emphasizing on this. Yeah, you cannot imagine, physically imagine anything what you imagine outside of the universe. You cannot imagine it. That's why the Quranic teaching says, or the prophetic teaching, but it is the Quranic teaching ultimately, don't try to imagine the creator, but try to grasp the manifestations of its qualities. Now, as soon as when we say manifestations of the qualities of the creator, where we go? Where we come? Within the universe. Right? So we can imagine something within the universe. By the analogy lacking of it, for example, an animal, a phoenix, whatever phoenix is, I don't know what is that. What does it?
It's like, you're familiar with the simur?
Sorry?
The simur.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
It's like a bird that was, rises from its ashes.
Never exists.
Yeah, never exists.
Okay, because you are thinking of a bird and another form which did not exist within the universe. Again, analogy between the universe, within the universe, by one element of the universe, making an analogy to another element of the universe. But as compared, this one doesn't exist within the universe. It doesn't mean that nothing can exist outside of the universe. These are the things that excites me. I don't know that it means anything to you. Okay.
You said it doesn't mean that nothing can exist outside the universe?
No.
Where are we getting the concept of outside the universe?
No, I didn't say.
Okay.
Nothing can exist. We said there is no absolute non-existence. Now, non-existence of something within the universe, yes. But no absolute, not non-existence of something. No, absolute, abstract non-existence doesn't exist. Do you understand? Abstract non-existence doesn't exist. Why? The universe as a creator, after hearing from the revelation and seeing the evidence pointing to its existence in the universe, I say, no, non-existence cannot be can be talked about something within the universe, not outside of the universe. Outside of the universe, we cannot imagine, but logic says, human logic says, by using the evidence and science in the universe, there must be a creator.
That's all we conclude. There must be a creator. I don't conclude something outside the universe. I cannot, like, this is what I have right now.
No, be careful. You cannot conclude a creator. You can conclude a maker, an agent, which gave existence to the universe without revelation. But you cannot imagine, even imagine, the absolute existence of the creator because there's no liking. There's no like of it. But you logically understand that it must necessarily exist such an agent which creates. It means absolute quality without using any element, anything, any energy, anything. That is human logic. But confirming the revelation, the message of the revelation.
But this understanding exists within universe also.
Which one?
The understanding of absoluteness of God.
No. Human potentiality confirm it, but they cannot imagine it. Confirm its existence of the absolute being without universe. It means without universe means not within universe, but not of the same nature, not to confuse the vocabulary, what we use the language in our classes, not of the nature of the universe. The creator cannot be the nature of cannot be of the nature of the universe. These are sensitive vocabulary and not very commonly used. You can, I think we covered a lot of things. The extra, if you like, extramural subjects. Mural means the text, that is. But they refer to. But we have to be careful with our language. And when you are careful with your language, you find out the fallacy in the claims of the deniers, where they really, knowingly or unknowingly, make the false statements. And also, you can see the false statements used by those people who claim to believe. Yeah. Also, false statement. You can see that. You can see among the believers how they claim the existence of the Creator. That's why the Christians only can say an intelligent agent. Yeah? Intelligent agent.
Everyone can say that.
Sorry?
Human potentiality says that, but then we need to define it.
Yeah, we need to define it. Intelligent agent, yes, this computer needs an agent, correct. But the nature of the agent we describe, as the revelation says, intelligent, conscious, self-existing, absolute being. Changes.
Should I be concerned about where is it?
Sorry?
Where is such a being?
But where, the word where refers to universe. That like you are doing the same thing as the mathematicians are doing within the universe.
So what am I supposed to say? What is this
No.
such a one?
No, not where, what, who. I only say such a being must exist.
That's it. End of story?
No, or then see the qualities or try to understand the qualities of such a being by the manifestations of its qualities in the work he displays in front of us. So look at the universe from, analyze the universe, study the universe from angelic side of
So,
the meaning that they refer to.
mhm.
So you can understand the qualities as much as you can perceive the manifestations of it in the universe. But you can potentially conclude that it must be absolute. But potentially, can you comprehend absolute? No. But potentially you can acknowledge the existence of the absolute.
That's all I can do as a human being. Acknowledge
Yeah.
the existence of the absolute.
Necessary existence of the absolute after hearing it
Yes.
from the revelation.
And the rest of the questions, because if you hear these kind of like the discourse that was presented today, human mind questions, so what is this? We're talking about God,
Yeah.
or where is this, right?
No, but that's why what we do, we prohibit talking about God itself and talking anything from God's perspective. But it is impossible.
That's not a talking
From
about
God's
That's just
perspective.
like, what is this one that
Oh yeah.
you're talking about?
No, but that is what you are using. What, when,
Mhm.
where are the concepts valid only within the universe?
But these are legitimate human questions, though.
But within the universe, that you have to understand that it's a false assumption.
Within the
This
universe.
question
Okay, I see
is
what you mean.
contradictory. Within
Okay.
it's only you have to be aware of it. If Allah says, "Who is God?" I will say, "What do you mean who? What is God? What do you mean what?" I have to say, "Where is God? What do you mean where?" Let alone God. Let's say he talks about God as the revelation speaks.
Mhm.
But when he says where, it is irrelevant. That's what the Islamic fundamental teaching summarizes and verses. He is everywhere, he is nowhere. It's contradictory. Why? Because they have to say, look, this vocabulary, where, belongs to the universe, and you cannot apply this vocabulary to a thing which is not within the universe.
And at the same time, you make your conclusion or acknowledgement within the universe. Whatever I acknowledge or conclude, that's within the universe.
That potentially you are able.
And that's it. I just stop there and then kind of make use of revelation to
As a guide
define.
to understand the details of the qualities of the Creator.
That's mind-boggling. It's not easy.
So it's not easy. The Quran is a guide, Revelation is a guide. It's easy to say, but to what? To confirm, to be able to confirm what you are potentially enabled to become aware of the necessity, existence of the absolute being without referring its qualities to anything in the universe. But the universe witnesses the necessary existence of these qualities in absolute terms. And we have to learn it. That's what the Quran teaches, or the Revelation teaches.
You know, when scientists, they make a discovery, when they conclude something, right? Oh, look, we found this, right? All right, let's study this now, right? Or we concluded this, so let's...
Mm.
But then with the Quranic approach, yes, I want to say maybe, yeah, you discovered something, an acknowledgement, you discovered something,
Yeah.
but now let's not study it, but let's try to make sense of it. Or how can I?
What does it refer to? The qualities manifested in it refers to what? That's why in the teachings of the Quran, every particle witnesses the necessary existence of an absolute being. So you have to find out there the signs to it. That's why Quran uses the word signs for anything in the universe. That is the sign. Yeah. That I don't really, I'm not really convinced about the word sign, ayah, referring to the sentences of the Quran. I'm not happy with it. But it's another subject. Sign means universe is a sign. Yeah? Quran is instruction.
Quran is what?
Instruction. You know, teaching you how you confirm your potentiality. It is within your potentiality, but you cannot turn it into capacity by yourself. It's interesting.
Another thing, so when one acknowledges or concludes something, the universe must have an absolute source. So now what do I do with it? Now I should be concerned about it refers to what? What is this? Whatever I concluded refers to? Whatever that which I concluded refers to what?
That's why everything must point, with no exception, everything in its existence must point to the absolute source of its existence, the Creator. Only the Creator gives an existence to a particle. Only the Creator, whether we are using the word consciously. Creator means without using any already existing elements, just will to be. That's why no one can explain the existence of a particle within the universe. That's why we keep saying, I keep saying this is extremely important. Even the Muslim people, the students of the Quran neglect this. Existence of a thing is important. Existence of a quality is important, rather than the quality. And okay, quality after that. After you question the existence of this quality, then the quality becomes important. If you don't question the existence of a quality, you cannot really study the quality. And this studying of the quality will be futile. For example, when you look at a computer, what do you see? What do you see? Existence of some qualities in it, right? But as far as human-made, the human-made side of the computer is concerned, inequality within the universe can be found. Sorry, I made a great mistake. Every quality within the computer points to the qualities of the engineer, or qualities of the order, or qualities of the metal used in it, right? So when you look at the universe, take a particle and question the existence of this particle, you cannot refer it to anything within the universe altogether. That's what Quran says. What? Very simple. bring all your helpers. It means everything within the universe, not only the scientists. No. Everything in the universe. And try to explain the existence of a fly, the Quran says, and not a mosquito, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pronounce the not? G-N-A?
Not.
Gnat.
Mhm.
Yeah? And not. Anything, a small animal that you are aware of, its existence.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
And that is really, ba'uda means in the Quran it's used. Really the smallest animal that you can see, depending on your age. The beginning, for example, they might have seen the flea as the smallest living being. But now we see lots of viruses and lots of things now, germs, etc. So even a germ, you can translate this as germ. Now, in order to give existence, khalaq, the Quran says, in order to give existence, you can get all the elements of the universe to make a germ or a virus. They cannot. That's what the Quran said, right? It's not a scientific thing. And not. You can call it a fly, or if you don't know what fly is, you can call it a small animal, a bird, sparrow, for example. Doesn't matter. Can you give existence to it? Can the universe give existence to it? Universe can be the source of existence of its own part? Logically question it. So you look at the Quran's guidance, it's so simple but so radical. Do you notice the difference? So radical. Existence. So what this scientists, believers, they believe in either as a Christian or as a Muslim, as a Jew, the scientists say these qualities function in the matter itself. It is because matter exists with its qualities, and that's it. They don't question the existence of this quality. Nothing in the universe can give this quality to anything, to a thing, the quality itself. But the things, we have to know that a thing consists of nothing but its qualities. That's why Quran says everything, and it is all aspects of its existence, all aspects of its existence points to the absolute being. Because everything is nothing but qualities, composition of qualities. That's why no one can get the ultimate particle, which is the founding stone of that being, so the qualities are added to it. You cannot get it. That's why the Quran says you cannot get to the end of the universe, either in macro level or in micro level. So it is, the Quranic teaching is so simple that we can even really see these points that included in the message, because we take some words for taken for granted. So we use, for example, yes, human beings have these qualities, but who gave existence to human beings? We cannot really take one human quality, whatever it is in physical terms, in physiological terms, matter, or in other sensual terms, whatever you use in human quality. Let's say, I don't know, except, well, I don't know. The typical example is fear and hope, and love or hate. Can you attribute the existence of hate to anything in the universe? Or you may take it all universe logically that the universe produced the sense of hate, or the universe produced DNA. But the order continues to renew itself. And they take it as evolution. Order continues to is renewed. It was a wrong sentence, renews itself. No, order is continuously renewed. The universe doesn't know what is going on. Just it is renewed. That's it. Cannot renew themselves. It was my lack of attention to my language. I criticize people. They don't pay attention what they say, but I do. Same thing. It is human being. Yeah. Okay. Saturday discussions are not text-oriented discussions, but these are exciting to me. Very exciting to me. And also important if you don't notice these kind of details, the difference in details, you swallow many arguments, either put forward by religious people, believing people, or atheist people. You swallow them. You have to question. You have to question. What do you mean by it? When did you get this word? For example, there is no creator in the universe. It gives a thing which gives existence to something. Existence. So, how can you develop the concept of creator? Study the universe. That was in your experiment.
By analogy.
But you can only understand by analogy, but it's not a creator, it's an agent. But you can only, not the originator, as the Quran says, Bari. Quran emphasizes that Khaliq, Bari, Musawwir. And everything in the universe points to that Khaliq, Bari, Musawwir, fundamental qualities of the creator. Khaliq was the creator. Bari creates from origin. Or they call it originator. Musawwir creates something and definitely gives a form to it. That's what we see, the form. Yeah. That's why the philosopher said that the universe consists of forms. That's very famous. Form. Yeah. How about the existence of form? That gentleman, philosopher, didn't question. But agent, yes, not the creator. Because when you ask the question, existence, source of existence, then you have to come or end up with the creator, right? But if you say these forms point to something else, no, we have to go beyond the universe. It means not within the capacity of the universe. Points to the existence of the form can be given only by the one who gave existence to the universe. So people maybe your notes, they might have been bored of seeing the repetition of the same vocabulary, source of existence, not of the nature of the universe. Certain vocabulary.
I myself ended up in that state of mind, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we use the same vocabulary.
Yeah.
Well, these vocabulary are the foundations of belief. If you ignore it only once, you get lost. So what we do here, we should stop here. Right? Stop. Time. Okay. 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You're not much.
I have no
Okay.
question.
Okay. Now 0, 1, 19. Yeah, and 19. 1990.
I had a slight little question. I don't know if we'll meet again, but we never know, right? What happens in life. When one is able to conclude or acknowledge the existence of a necessarily existent one, right? It's
in order to be conclude,
What's that?
in order to be able to conclude the necessary existence of the
necessarily existent one. One.
yeah, okay, but there must be. That's why this
Yeah.
vocabulary is important. Necessarily
But that-
existent one for human logic.
What do you do after that? So you just then work out, okay, what does this refer to? What does this necessarily
So there
existent
must be
one?
logically understood.
Yeah.
Now, this universe continue. Now it's practical side of it, but theoretically it is important to reach that conclusion. Come to the well, we are in the universe, and we are talking about something which is not within the universe. On the contrary, which is the source of existence of the universe. So what do I do? What do I do? Now, use my evidence that is the subject. Evidence must be so clear. It means your evidence is what?
The universe.
Universe, anything in the universe. Yeah. Use anything in the universe. The Quran challenges
what's
that.
going on now.
Study anything in the universe.
Okay, that makes sense.
Anything in the universe points to the necessity of the existence of a necessarily existent one.
And when I reach that conclusion, what do I do from there?
So you belong to it. That's it.
What's that?
It means you explain your existence on a proper way that you can feel secure in your existence. Now I belong to him. Everything belongs to him, and I have to worship him. Why? I have to acknowledge him.
Then I refer everything to this conclusion. Then that's whatever.
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
Okay,
So whatever happens to you, that's it. Whatever you are given, that's it from him. Now, the life becomes meaningful, purposeful, and also pleasurable. You are secured in your existence. Now, you don't worry about anything as far as your existence is concerned. You can worry about only what to cook this dinner for this dinner. That is not important. You can't cook anything. But about your existence is that your existence is secured now. So this understanding called in the language of the Quran, Iman bil Ghaib. Believing, being certain about the existence of something which is not of the kind of creation. So far I heard the concept from a man who developed this concept, saying that ghaib means beyond the perception of beyond the human capacity of perception. Ghaib, no. That is the closest meaning, but no, it's not right. The others, they say unknown, then unseen. No, they are just trash. But this is a little bit result of a thought, at least. Beyond the capacity of perception of human being. Yeah.
That's still the...
So, right. No. Ghaib in the language of the Quran, not of the nature of the universe. Now settled. When you say beyond the perception of human being, ghaib, if it is beyond my perception, it doesn't really mean that I cannot perceive it at all. No. The necessarily existent one, which cannot be of the nature of the universe, because it is the creator of the universe. Now, that is why Iman must be described or defined with this kind of language. It's not the ultimate description, but for the moment, that's what I could come up with. But beyond the perception of the universe, no. But it is much better than saying unknown, unseen. They are very simple and not very right either. So the Quran says you have to believe in the necessary existence of ghaib. Now it makes sense. Now, why? Believe means you cannot perceive it, you cannot experience it, but you can be sure of its necessary existence. There must be such a thing. There must be such a thing. So, believe means confirm that is within your potentiality. Right? If you are trained by the instructed or trained by the revelation, it becomes not the ghaib itself. No, it becomes more and more logically consistent what the revelation teaches you, but the conclusion of logical consistency is not within the universe. Do you understand? Because logic works only within the universe. Right? But about the necessity of the existence of the absolute being now becomes not a knowledge, but a belief. Because it is outside of the nature of the universe, it means not of the nature of the universe, it must be ghaib. That's what the Quran must be understood. Quranic teaching of ghaib must be understood. Not of the nature of the universe. It makes somehow me feel comfortable. No, not of the nature of the, but I'm sure of its existence. Belief is not contradicting your reality. Your reality accepts this. Your reality comprehends this. Believe in ghaib. Your reality cannot comprehend ghaib, but your reality comprehends belief in ghaib. There's a magical how do you say, tricks. If you don't make the difference between these vocabulary, slight changes, you follow it on a simple way, saying that I believe in God. That's it. Why do about it?
Oh, electrics.
Yes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alim al-hakim. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum.